Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something truly unique. We are literally stress testing reality. Or, more specifically, we're taking a look at a fascinating stress test of the massive, ancient architecture of Catholic theology. And we're doing it using a surprisingly modern, really accessible framework called Catholic Invariant Grammar, or CIG. It asks a simple but honestly profound question. If you stripped theology down to its absolute most basic structural components, what would actually remain? Okay, let's dive into this with a thought from 1710. This is Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. He was an 18th century philosopher, total polymath, and he made this brilliant observation. He said, all things are connected. In each one of the possible worlds, the universe is all of one piece, like an ocean. It's just a foundational idea, right? That every single thing in reality is part of a deeply interconnected relational structure.
And here's where it gets incredibly relatable. This high-minded 18th century philosophy isn't just stuck in some dusty library. We see it integrated directly into a modern everyday format, like an Instagram story captured right inside a church. It reminds us that these deep concepts of interconnectedness, they're meant to be lived. They are meant to be experienced in the real world right now, not just studied as some abstract theory on a chalkboard.
So here is our Lego instruction manual for today's explainer. We're going to start by stripping theology to its core, then look at the foundational Lego bricks. Next up, we'll cover roles and operations, followed by the continuity topology. And finally, we'll ground ourselves with the map, not the territory. Section 1. Stripping theology to its core. The author of CIG explains this brilliantly using what he actually calls the Angela explainer. It's basically a translation of these huge concepts that he wrote specifically for his youngest daughter. So imagine we are building a giant theological Lego castle. To figure out which bricks actually hold up the castle, CIG uses this rigorous four-part discovery method: reconstruction, compression, stress testing, and elimination. Basically, every single piece has to prove it belongs there. Can it be compressed? Can it be rebuilt from existing terms? Does it survive stress testing against hard scriptural examples, or even non-human participation? If a term doesn't hold up under that pressure, it gets eliminated or demoted. The author only kept terms if the castle totally collapsed without them. Absolutely no theological glitter allowed. Section 2. The foundational Lego bricks. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that these foundational primitives are the irreducible load-bearing structures of reality that survived all that destruction testing we just talked about. They aren't decorative at all, they're absolutely essential. And we can understand these massive ideas using something as simple as a cookie straight from the author's own metaphor. Being just means something exists. Boom, there's a cookie. Distinction means this cookie is not your sister's cookie, which, is absolutely crucial for snack time justice. Relation means things are connected, like the fact that the cookie is sitting on your plate. Participation means things actually take part. You, the plate, the oven, you all contributed to this cookie event. And intelligibility means the universe isn't just nonsense soup, it has a real discoverable structure. But actually, scratch that. There was a missing piece, and the framework almost completely broke without it. Nature. Nature was added late to the framework because when CIG tried to reconstruct the idea that Jesus is one person with two natures, divine and human, things got really mushy. Without nature to explain the stable mode of how a person participates, theology just turned into, theological oatmeal. Adding it dramatically saved the whole framework from collapsing.
Section 3. Roles, Rules, and Operations.
So if primitives are the fundamental Lego bricks, roles are the positions people play when those bricks actually connect. Think of a school play, right? You have the princess, the dragon, and tree number 3. Even if you're tree number 3, you have a specific, vital function in the story. Roles are stable positions that emerge inside a relationship. A perfect example is the dynamic between source and reception. The source is the originating role, like a teacher transmitting knowledge. Reception is the receiving role, like a student admitting and learning that knowledge. But what's super fun here is that these roles can swap as the play goes on. The student learns the lesson, becomes the teacher for someone else, and suddenly, boom, they step right into the source role.
And this beautifully explains how operations work, particularly something like prayer. Imagine your dad texts you, "Good morning," and you reply with 17 emojis and, a recipe for waffles. You didn't start the relationship. He did. You were just joining a conversation already in progress.
So the crucial point is this. Prayer isn't just you standing in an empty room talking into the void hoping someone is listening. No way. It is conscious participation in a relation initiated by the source. God already started the conversation by creating you and loving you. When you pray, whether that's with words, silence, or even tears, you are actively participating in a conversation that was already happening.
Section 4, the continuity topology.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because this is really the ultimate climax of this entire explainer. During all of that intense stress testing across dozens of different theological and relational scenarios, a massive, recurring architectural pattern was discovered, and it always follows this exact 6-stage sequence: source, transmission, reception, participation, fidelity, continuity. Let's go back to baking cookies for a second. Your grandma is the source. She transmits the recipe to you, you receive it, you actually bake the cookies, that's participation, you faithfully make them every single year, that's fidelity, and one day you hand that recipe down to your own kids. That right there is continuity.
What is so stunning about this is that whether the author was examining the massive concept of apostolic succession, the practice of prayer, how we might one day pass human knowledge down to AI, or literally even how kids learn the secret engineering tricks to build the perfect blanket fort, this exact same 6-step topology independently emerged every single time. It is literally the fundamental shape of how good things are passed down and survive across time.
Section 5. The map, not the territory.
Now, with all these incredible structural discoveries, it's very important to clearly define the boundaries and limitations of this framework. CIG is the map. The actual faith, doctrine, and mysteries of God, those are the treasure. And this brilliantly illustrates the point. You can't dig up a paper map expecting to find real gold underneath it, and you certainly can't eat a map when you're hungry. CIG is just a tool to help us see the underlying structure. It is not a replacement for the divine mysteries, it just gives us a precise, focused lens to appreciate their architecture.
Which leaves us with this final thought. How do you participate in the continuity topology of your own life and traditions? In your family, in your work, in your beliefs? What are the things you receive? What do you actively participate in? And what are you faithfully handing on to the future? It's a fascinating lens to look through, isn't it? Keep asking those questions and keep building your own structures. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.